Welcome back. Brett Kavanaugh's historic confirmation of the Supreme Court is a done deal. The new justice will officially take the bench on Tuesday. He was sworn in last night by Chief Justice John Roberts, and a formal ceremony with President Trump is planned for tomorrow night. With Justice Kavanaugh now on the bench, the Supreme Court shifts to a conservative majority for years to come. The nation could start feeling the impact as early as this week. Kavanaugh's first cases will include decisions on immigration, product liability, and the Armed Career Criminal Act. To help us make sense of it all, we have MSNBC legal analyst and attorney Cathy Phang, and also former federal prosecutor Cathy Fleming. Welcome to both of you. Cathy, I know you're watching as we are too with Judge Kavanaugh's first week here. The first decisions, no doubt, will be on those pretty controversial topics and issues. How divided is the court on those issues, and how will Kavanaugh's vote impact the results of those?
I don't think the court's that divided on these particular issues. These aren't the hot topic issues that we've seen. So, for example, the issue regarding the Armed Career Offender Act is an enhancement, a sentencing enhancement if somebody has committed 3 prior felonies with the use of firearms. And the issue is that the court is arguing over what is the correct definition of serious felony, etc. And I don't think it's that controversial. If you look at his prior writings, I think he's going to be much more of an a law and order judge than he's going to be a criminal defense help on the bench. But as President Eisenhower once said, the 2 biggest mistakes he once made were both on the Supreme Court, when the people he appointed turned out to be surprises and were far more liberal than he thought. So we'll have to watch it.
And if you're saying it's not going to be so controversial when it comes to these issues off the top when he gets started, certainly we know the controversy when it comes to Roe versus Wade here. We have Senator Collins, who has insisted that Justice Kavanaugh doesn't pose a threat to that and other legal presence. So I want to play a little bit more of what she had to say, and then we'll talk about it with Katie after.
There has also been considerable focus on the future of abortion rights based on the concern that Judge Kavanaugh would seek to overturn Roe v. Wade. Protecting this right is important to me. To my knowledge, Judge Kavanaugh is the first Supreme Court nominee to express the view that precedent is not merely a practice and tradition, but rooted in Article 3 of our Constitution itself.
All right, so now with Justice Kavanaugh, Katie, how tough would it be for the Supreme Court to overturn landmark cases like that, like Roe v. Wade?
So then there were 9, right? So we've been waiting for another Supreme Court justice to show up. We now have one in what people are labeling and branding a conservative in Brett Kavanaugh. So when you ask specifically, Francis, about Roe v. Wade, what's a little disingenuous and a little circular about Senator Collins' statement about Brett Kavanaugh making a pledge that Roe v. Wade is established precedent is it's precedent set by the Supreme Court of the United States. And so, yeah, there's precedent that controls all the lower courts of the land. But if a decision comes that's specifically fact-driven before Justice Brett Kavanaugh and the remaining members of the Supreme Court that challenges legal precedent that was determined by Roe v. Wade, where else is it ever going to be overturned but the United States Supreme Court? So it's a little bit circular logic to use to say that there is no threat to Roe v. Wade, but I'm not ringing the alarm bells right now. We need to see the exact type of challenge that comes before the Supreme Court to determine what Kavanaugh will do.
Along with watching Kavanaugh's impact there, now seated as the justice, also watching the impact when it comes to the midterms, Cathy. We know that the Democrats are still revved up here, still wanting to fight, promising new investigation, already talking about impeachment of the new justice if they win control of Congress here after November 6th. What would that look like? How would that work, and is it even likely?
Well, I don't think it's likely, and I don't think it's good for the country, in my own opinion. It's not a legal opinion, it's my personal opinion. We've had enough divisiveness and enough ugliness in the last couple of weeks to last most of us a lifetime. There are 2 people that have made different statements about what this justice is going to do when he gets to the Supreme Court. We have the president who has said he's going to appoint only people that are going to uphold the right to life side of and overturn Roe versus Wade. And we have Senator Collins, who said she's confident that he's not going to overturn Roe versus Wade. one of the things that happens when people go through a traumatic and horrible experience, and Judge Kavanaugh did, regardless of which side you come out on, the hearings last week, he went through a pretty difficult fight, is that they can sometimes surprise you, and they can be their own person. And he has a lifetime job now unless he does something that really results in impeachment. So maybe he will really think about it and put his personal beliefs aside. Maybe he really will look at it in terms of the overall good. Remember, the Supreme Court is designed to not look at individual cases. It is designed to look at law for the entire country, and it's designed to have precedent for everybody, and it's designed to be what the law of the land is, the supreme law of the land. So before we all panic about it, and before we start talking about impeachment and investigations, it strikes me we ought to let the guy get down to work and see what he does. And let's see if he keeps his promise that he wrote in the Washington Post op-ed, where he said, look, I was hot under the collar. I said things I shouldn't have said. Why don't you take me at my word and let me do my work as a Supreme Court justice and let me show you? And maybe I'm just hope-springing optimistic here and hope-springing eternal, but I'm really hoping he means it, that he will approach it with nonpartisan feelings, that he has really been bruised enough, that he understands how sensitive it is, that he really will approach it saying, I have to look at this for the best of the country, not partisan, and he's actually going to be so careful about it that it may actually surprise everybody. Wouldn't it be great if it turned out he in fact was a swing vote and went both ways and surprised everybody?
And we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, with two of you. Katie, last word, do you agree with that? Do you think that given the motion, the raw emotion we saw so much from him during those hearings, that he can be independent and impartial now as justice?
He served for 12 years on the D.C. Circuit for the Court of Appeals. There were no issues when he did so, Francis. I think he could compose himself and serve properly while he's on the bench.
Yeah, and again, if that swing vote does happen at one given time, we'll talk with you then. Always great to have you. Thank you.